Pope Francis starts his 4-day visit to Mongolia. He arrived in the capital this morning. The country is home to less than 1,500 Catholics. This is the first time any pope has visited the landlocked country. So our Chris Livesay is traveling with the Pope, and he's joining us now to talk a little bit more about this. So this is sort of an odd visit, one would think. There are not a lot of Catholics in Mongolia. So why is the Pope visiting that country now?
That's right, Anne-Marie. As you said, fewer than 1,500 Catholics in the entire country. We're used to seeing more people than that turn out at the airport when Pope Francis arrives somewhere. Last month, we were in Lisbon with the Pope for World Youth Day. Literally millions of people lining the streets. It was the same story in the Congo earlier this year, another Catholic country. At the airport here, we saw more livestock than we saw people after we landed. So that is a very good question, but in order to understand why Pope Francis is here, you have to understand where he's coming from. He's made reaching out to the peripheries a hallmark of his papacy, and this is certainly a country on the periphery with the Catholic community that is also very much so on the periphery. But it's also sandwiched in between two very important countries, Russia and China. Those are countries Pope Francis would love to visit. He hasn't been able to yet, so you could look at this as him knocking on those doors.
So is there a feeling, because these are not only countries that he hasn't been able to visit, but these are countries that are not sort of the most open to religious diversity, particularly Catholics and others. Is there a possibility that we may see some Catholics from China and Russia also crossing the border into Mongolia to see the Pope?
That's unclear right now. The indicators we're getting are that if that happens, it's going to be in small numbers, and that has a lot to do with the logistics of this just being such a vast and far-flung country, even for Russia and China, which are on its borders. Those are areas of those countries that simply aren't very populated and are hard to get to. But yeah, as you mentioned, these are countries that have a checkered track record when it comes to not just religion, but specifically with the Vatican. China, for instance, hasn't been living up to its end of the bargain when it comes to naming bishops or collaborating with the Vatican when it comes to naming bishops in China. Everywhere else, the Vatican gets to do that exclusively. It's made some allowances for China, but it just hasn't been living up to its end of the bargain, critics would argue. And then in Russia, you have their war in Ukraine, which the Vatican is certainly unhappy with. Pope Francis has been trying to act as something of a broker, but so far that's fallen on deaf ears. It also might have something to do with the fact that he called the patriarch of Russia Putin's altar boy for being so supportive of that war. In fact, Pope Francis has even entertained dreams of healing the schism that dates back more than 1,000 years between the Russian Orthodox Church and the Catholic Church, but that seems to be more and more of a fantasy these days.
That's really interesting. You know, this is a pope that sometimes, it has ruffled feathers. Sometimes what he says is kind of subtle, but coming from a pope, it lands a little heavier. So in a recent published transcript, Pope Francis criticized the, quote, backwardness of some conservatives in the U.S. Catholic Church. What more can you tell us about the pontiff's comments? Why did he mention that, and what was he trying to say?
Yeah, so he's a Jesuit, and he was speaking with other Jesuits when he was in Portugal last month for World Youth Day. That transcript was just made public. Look, he was talking specifically about issues like abortion, which of course is something that's very dear to his heart. He never misses an opportunity to mention how much he and the Catholic Church are against it. But he also says that the same amount of care and attention should be paid to things like the rights of migrants, another issue that's very dear to his heart. He's told Catholic priests that they should be welcoming to the gay community, that they should open their doors to people who are divorced. And this, doesn't bode. This isn't necessarily welcomed by everybody in the Catholic Church, conservatives in particular. Many recently who have said, leaders within the conservative Catholic movement have even said that the Catholic Church might be heading towards a new schism if Francis continues to go in this direction. But Francis, of course, is saying, look, I'm not putting more attention on these things. I'm simply saying we need to put an equal amount of attention on these things.
Fascinating. Like I said, when the Pope speaks, even if what he says is really not too much of a departure from what's already being done, it feels, and the reaction is usually as if it is a huge departure. All right, well, enjoy your time in Mongolia, Chris.
Thanks, Anne-Marie.